I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Jill Button.
We are the Pop Culturists, and we just went and saw The Guardians of the Galaxy Vol.2. As always, Dylan, what's the movie about?
So, Guardians of the Galaxy Vol.2 is directed by James Gunn, who also directed the first film, and also wrote the film as well. It's about the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Makes sense.
Sure enough. And this time around, the Guardians stumble across Peter Quill's father. It's in the trailers. I don't think that's a spoiler.
Papa Lord.
And through their wheelings and dealings, like the first one, where they're double-crossing people, they've got the Ravagers after them, which is Yondu and his team from the first film, and they team up with some other enemies from the past, and have other warring factions after them because they are devilish little cheeky bastards at the end. They are
meddling kids.
Thieves at heart, but also good people at heart as well. I think that made little to no sense, but the movie is a big blur of a lot of things, so it's a little hard to talk about without going into spoilers.
Yeah, I see. We don't want to go too deep into spoilers just yet. As always, non-spoilers at the start, spoilers at the back end. So, Dylan, what do you think overall? In quick summary,
I thought it was good. Really good. Marvel movies always have that level of you're going to enjoy yourself. This movie was a whirlwind. Like, it moved quickly, and a lot was happening. Like, because it's out in space, there's just a lot of things whirling around on the screen and bright colors, and it's kind of just like a tidal wave over you, and then it washes down, and you're kind of like, oh, movie's over. I'm just going to walk out now. But it was really fun, really entertaining. Not as quite as good as the first one, because the first one caught you by surprise. But it looks like they got a lot bigger budget to do more things in this one. Yourself?
I'm in the same boat. I really enjoyed it as well. I really liked the storyline I was touching upon with sort of the father-son relationship, which we'll obviously get into in a little bit more.
Sure.
Now, I think almost all the performances were solid. I had no quills with anyone. I thought they all brought it really good. I enjoyed it. There was a couple times with that sort of intense action that I did feel a little motion sickness, like twice.
Whoa.
But I'm prone to motion sickness anyway, so it's not really too much of a major surprise. Overall, I really, really enjoyed it.
Nice.
Well, okay. Well, let's break into the storyline without sort of getting too spoilery. So, the overall arc within it is the idea of the family and the father and son relationship. That's the big sort of.
Well, there's a lot of father and son, crossing back and forth.
Metaphors, analogies.
Not just in Peter Quill and Ego.
Yeah.
But in a few of the other characters, which is surprising.
Did that resonate with you a little bit?
Yeah, well, Daddy Issues is my jam. Like, Lost is my favorite show because everybody has daddy issues. So when it came to this, I knew that it was going to be father-son meeting up. But the moment before, when he's throwing the thing, I'm like, I know what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
And then, like, again, just like the Fast and Furious movies, and kind of like the first movie, it's about a bunch of outcasts who don't fit into society, but together they kind of find their own kind of niche, and they understand each other. Yeah. So this one went more into the family, and maybe your natural family or your genetic family aren't always, the real family.
Yeah.
It's the people you find and the people that, care for you the most. That's true. So I really like that dynamic of it. Overall, the story was pretty, not cookie cutter, but there was more on the jokes and the characters.
I have so much popcorn in my teeth, so excuse me while I'm going
Yum.
to hide behind the microphone and might pick some
But
shit
the
out.
strong suit of the Guardians of the Galaxy is the dynamic of the characters and the way you know what Rocket's going to say, and you know what Drax is going to say, and you know what Groot's going to say. Well, you know what Groot's going to say because he only says, like, I'm Groot. But just like the bickering between each other is the strong suit.
It's a really stormy day in Geelong right now, and the skies has opened again.
It was thundering like
really loud
every 45 seconds. But the story was very like soap opera-y. Some would say that it was like a sitcom, say Cheers, for example. You get that joke when you see it. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it was pretty straightforward, and then when the plot twists kind of happened, it followed that really like generic, especially Peter Quill's story was very generic.
But I think in terms of if you wanted to sort of have that father-son thing, like in order for it to I don't know whether it's spoilers to talk about the big bad in this.
I don't think we can.
We can't? Okay, cool.
Not yet. Not yet. Spoilers. It's hard to talk about.
Yeah. So, like, the story, like, in order to get to the big bad, there were some things the beats that had to be hit.
Yeah.
And, like, that's the cookie cutter part. It's just kind of like, all right, I understand where this is going. Yeah. That's fine. In terms of the other characters, like, obviously with Peter Quill and Yondu having a really strong part in this movie. Something I didn't think about.
No,
I never thought that. I never thought I'd feel emotion towards Yondu as a character.
Yeah, Yondu was really good.
See, the father and son stuff always is really pressing to me. I've talked about this before, but as I'm now a father, and I do have a very strong relationship with my dad.
Yes.
So anytime there are movies that are based around the father son dynamic, like, hit me right in the chest, like, every time. So, like, I had that similar moment, and this isn't spoilers, but one of the final songs of the movie is Father and Son by Cat Stevens.
That's a spoiler.
Is that a spoiler?
No.
But that's a song that my dad used to play to me when I was growing up as well. So that gave me that extra bit of punch right in the fucking emotions. And
nice.
Yeah, so, like, I got emotional in this movie. I don't think I really did that in the first, if I remember right. But, my circumstances have changed. As a result,
there was some
more emotional and different
cry things when his mother died at the start.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that ruined me.
And then when she's calling to him at the end, Peter, take my hand. That was good.
But yeah, so that, like, and there were an example is like Gamora and Nebula.
Yeah. Their
story wasn't as, I think Nebula as a character might not be that strong. She's very one note in what she wants to do. We'll jump into characters. Storyline's done. Let's get into the characters. So Nebula, like, I found her, to be very one note. I liked where they were trying to put her and push her, and they gave her they tried to give her some emotional connection.
I think the way that they built her backstory and made her a sympathetic character worked well.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm not going, pfft. I was like...
Yeah, but the turn from, like, anti-hero to anti-hero, I thought worked well, and the relationship between Gamora and her. They definitely gave Gamora more screen time.
They give so much more in this movie,
which was good.
Because once again, watching, I'm trying to remember back to Guardians. Like, I haven't watched that in probably about a year.
She probably had the least to do out of all the Guardians.
Yeah,
kicking ass and being the love
just
interest.
there. Yeah. Drax, Batista is this role. He has nailed it. Like, obviously, they've given him a bit more fun and energy in this film compared to the other one where he was very dry. Mind you, that dry humor was great in the first one. Giving him a bit more oomph in this,
he still has
really
a lot of
added to the character.
There's far too many times where he started laughing at things. Yeah, like when it first couple of times it was funny because he laughs at unexpected times or inappropriate times, but then his answer to everything was always laughing, and it got a bit dragged out a bit. But everything else, like all his one-liners and his dry lines and his confusion in things, were hilarious. Rocket Raccoon
was great. It was more of the same in a good way. Yeah. That sort of gave him a bit of emotional twist as well, which was nice.
And he's like this, like even in the first one, he could be the Guardian of the Galaxy. Like, he is so formidable in fighting enemies and getting out of things and making gizmos out of stuff. Like, he is like a strong asset to the team. The one thing that I was surprised about is when they had Baby Groot. I was looking at the trailers and it just looks like CG. Yeah. Like, Groot, even though he was like cartoony, he looked like he was kind of really there and he had a texture to him. And this Baby Groot just looked like animated face, like Casper Chubby. But the idea that he is a baby and seeing the baby-like things that he does.
Little babyisms, yeah.
Yeah, like waving to them in appropriate times. Like, hello, but get out the way.
It's like, can you go get this for Dad? And then it's like, no. Fuck.
Oh, yeah. That was so... And that was a long stretch of the movie, that
was like
scene.
a good 5-minute
And I knew, like, as soon as they told him to get something, like, he's not going to get it. And he didn't. He got the wrong thing. And then it just kept going. So that... It didn't play as much as I thought it would be, but it was an interesting dynamic because Groot had not much to do after his established character in the first one. What could you do with it? And they did a clever thing.
But yeah, all the little things, little babyisms, like like reaching up to be held, and all these cool little things.
And even playing with the dynamics of the first film where he's like stays still when Drax is looking at him, and then he keeps moving again. That was really good. Who else we got?
I'm trying.
Kurt Russell
in his little
Peter
cameo.
Quill's father. That wasn't a cameo. Well, Sylvester Stallone was in a cameo-ish. But Kurt Russell, Tango and Cash. Kurt Russell was good. Like, he does look like Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
And he does have that swagger and that cool. But then, he was used in certain ways.
It was
they didn't have like a huge bond.
Yeah, I feel
They
we're
played
going
those
to need
moments
to get more into Ego's character, like in the spoilers.
I liked Mantis. She was funny.
Yeah, she was interesting.
And again, it's all the misunderstandings that makes it funny.
Yeah.
But there's different misunderstandings between what Rocket knows. Rocket's pretty switched on, but he doesn't understand everything because Peter Quill's throwing out Earth-isms. Drax is just like lost. He doesn't understand sarcasm or this or that. And then Mantis is completely new where she doesn't understand anything because she's never met other kind of people. So even though it's the same kind of gag, it's in a different way that makes it interesting.
And that's good comedic writing. So Peter Gunn, yeah? James Gunn, sorry, no, who the hell, Peter Gunn.
Sean Gunn plays the skinny guy, his brother. You know, Yondu's second in command.
Oh, the guy from Gilmore Girls.
Is he from? He's James Gunn's brother.
Oh, get out.
Yeah.
Cool. Yes, that guy's in Gilmore Girls. He plays this sort of stumbling character in Gilmore Girls, and he's really quite funny in it.
And he played Groot, like, physically on set during the first movie.
Oh, I like that guy. I like him a lot. So James Gunn.
Yes.
I'm always wondering, when I'm watching this, I'm like, who wrote this? Because this is exceptional. The beats are pretty solid. Like, it's difficult to write comedy. Like, one of the best skills in comedic writing is being able to throw back to a previous joke, like unexpectedly, or even if it's using the same style of joke but twisting it in a way that still continues to be funny.
Yeah.
Like something as simple as there's a bit of fruit and it's like, can I eat it? And it's like, no, it's not ripe. Don't eat it. And then like that hits like 4 times. Like, don't eat it. It's not ripe. I promise you. It's
and
not
I
ripe.
knew, like, as soon as she's holding it, I'm like,
I'm just gonna eat that. It's like, we're right.
yeah, and
yeah, it's not ripe. Like it's such a simple joke, and you think by everyone setting it up, it wouldn't hit, but and the performance of Karen Gillan as well sort of added that oomph to the joke, and I think the performances across the board really helped land that humor. I still think it is by far the funniest. The Guardian series is by far the funniest of all the Marvel movies.
Yeah, definitely.
It's got such a good emotional connection in terms of what the characters and that humorous beat behind it as well. I think it is probably the strongest of the Marvel movies, personally. Yeah,
I definitely think the Guardians movies, if they weren't Marvel movies and they're just standalone movies, would still be great. Yeah, incredible. Well, let's get some. Unless you have something more to add on that. Well, I just want to say before we get to the spoilers. Yeah. We go overall thoughts. Yeah, just overall thoughts. Well, again, the same thing I loved in the original Guardians of the Galaxy is it has such a beautiful color palette. Like, it's not just black space; it's these blue skies and orange dirts, and everybody has like a really unique look. Yondu being blue. I mean, you think that'd get old with X-Men, but he's got this different color blue that looks really good. His red eyes. Watching, like, observing how they're decked out, right? I'm looking at them because obviously the novelty of them being blue is sort of lost. So I'm looking at it in terms of the details. I'm like breaking it down how they've done it. I'm like, it doesn't really look like paint. It doesn't really like. How do they get that to be so even? How do they get it to get in all the crinkles, get under, I keep saying Mickey Rourke, but it's Michael Rooker. Michael Rooker, yeah. And like in his beard, like this little, like you'd think there might be some sort of, like when we painted you blue, like that shit was hard. I know. And he's got the scratches on one side, and even like the way he's got that metal strip, and it kind of, the skin's around it, and then it sits inside. It's really good makeup. Gamora, green as well. Like, and like, same thing. Like, mind you, how the hell is she that thin? Gamora is so thin. Is she? What's the actress's name? Well, she's a model, wasn't she? No, she's an actress. Oh, you've got me now. Now I want to know what it is. Don't tell me. But she is so thin. Like, every time I do a side profile, Zoe Saldana. Yeah, Zoe Saldana. Like, she's like this big. I'm like, where are your organs? And she's blue in Avatar, so ironic. That's right. So overall thoughts. Overall thoughts. It was really fun. It was a bit like, like if the movie didn't exist, it wouldn't lose anything in the canon of the of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Didn't really build upon it at all. I don't think so much so. It could have been a better story, I think. Like, everything else was really good. The story was a bit hollow. I didn't feel like Chris Pratt was really giving it his thing. Like, in the first one, he was a bit raw, and felt more real. In this one, he's very, like, his hair's perfect. They've shaved him perfectly. His muscles are perfect. Shirts are really clean. Like, it really felt like he was wearing costumes and he was acting. And I don't think he gave as strong a performance as he did in the first one. And it just seemed very, like, there's a lot of scenes with him and Kurt Russell on the planet, and they're against green screens. And the special effects are exceptional in some scenes, like Rocket's amazing, and some of the space battles.
There seems to be added detail in Rocket now.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, with the bigger budget comes
eyes and tears
more
and things.
details, yeah.
But some scenes, like when they were throwing the ball around, they were definitely on a green screen. And some of the special effects of the skeletal stuff, where the skin was growing and things, look really bad. So it's a mixed bag in those kind of things.
And out of 5?
4.5.
Yeah, okay. I'm in the same boat. Look, overall, I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. It hit me on an emotional level, which is something I always say I never expect it to hit me on, like, when I go to movies. But like, I'm like a sooky old man these days. Like, most things tend to hit me emotionally, so I shouldn't be so surprised anymore. But so it hit me on that emotional level, which was really, really great. I found myself laughing out loud a lot.
Yeah,
a lot, which is something I don't tend to find myself doing in other Marvel movies. Like, even with, like, what's the last one we saw?
Doctor Strange.
Oh, Doctor Strange. Like I didn't get a lot of chuckles, but it wasn't very funny either. But like, Civil War tried to be funny.
Yeah,
didn't really land for me. And like, but as you mentioned with Guardians being almost separate to the overall, I think it's a nice palate cleanser. It's a nice refresher of what it is. Like, they reference to Thanos and sort of other things that are bigger than this movie, but I love the fact that it is off to its side. It's its own thing. It's like, it's almost like, Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios are like, we love what you're doing, man. Just do what you do. Just do what you do, and we'll be fine.
Yeah, and he's signed on for do number 3 as well.
Yes. I reckon, like, they need to keep making, like, I understand, like, when we look at Captain America and Iron Man, like, they have their essentially 3 movie deals and whatever ones they appear in. I hope Guardians just keeps going. Obviously to a point where it's sort of, going to stagnate or anything, but performances were across the board. It was exactly what I expected in the best way. As you said, some of the story stuff were a little bit predictable, but I think it was written in such a way that didn't take away from those things. You kind of can glaze over some of those holes because it was an overall good film. Yeah, and I'm in the same boat as you. If we did sort of extra points, I'd probably give like a 4.7 or 4.8.
Whoa!
But for us, it's a 4.5.
Very cool.